you so much for agreeing to meet with us.
You're welcome.
Just a few logistics, you know, the room in here, I don't know if you've ever been in here before, but the restrooms are right out the door to your right, so anytime you need to use the facilities. And I see you brought your water,
yes.
So we also have some available if you run out.
Thank you.
Let's see, what else? Parking, I don't think we need to worry about parking today, so you're good.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, we have a few housekeeping things, if you will. We'll take care of those, and then we want to hear from you about your the concerns and issues that you want to bring to mediation.
Okay.
So we'll start with that, and of course, anytime you have questions, just jump in and let us know.
Yeah, and I'm David.
So what I was going to say, we're going to start with introductions, so that's okay. Yeah, before we get any further, so my name is Elvia, so we'll just say our name and anything that we want to share about ourselves, maybe a little bit about how your week is going, just so we get to know each other a little bit. So again, my name is Elvia, I live here in Davis. I've been here for, gosh, about 30 years now, that's a long time. And I really enjoy doing mediations. I've been doing this for a good number of years, and I really like just, you know, facilitating conversations and helping people through the conflict. So really enjoy doing that. And David is my co-mediator. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, definitely. Hi, Laura. David is my name, and I live here in Davis as well, and have been mediating, since the 1900s, so a little bit, and enjoy the, I guess, the rewarding feeling of helping folks through rough times. So happy to be here. Yeah.
So my
How about you, Laura? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So you already know that I'm Laura, and I guess I'm a little nervous to be here because I know you have some expertise in this and just helping people with their issues, but this has just been a really difficult situation for me, and I very often just haven't known what to do. But anyway, I live in Woodland. I've been there for a while. My schedule's pretty busy because I go to school and I work, and so my days are long. And maybe that's been a part of the challenge here, is that I don't have a lot of time, and I also feel like at the end of the day I'm exhausted, and maybe that's been a little bit of why this has been so difficult. But yeah.
Okay, sounds like you're really busy with a lot of things in your life right now, and I want to acknowledge that this process can be a little nerve-wracking at the beginning, especially if you're not familiar, you don't know us, you're not familiar with the process. What we hope to do today is to provide you with some information about mediation. You've already heard some of it from Rebecca from your initial discussion, but we're going to explain that a little bit more so you know what to expect, and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. So that's kind of the purpose of our meeting today, is to explain the process, answer your questions, get to know each other a little bit so that there are no surprises when and if you decide to go to the joint session, and we'll talk about that at the end in terms of your decision to move forward.
Okay.
Let me see if I'm forgetting to mention anything. So we'll provide you with information about the process, and we hope to learn about your experience of the conflict and begin to identify the issues and concerns that are important to you that you want to discuss in mediation. And we've allocated about 1 hour for our meeting today. Does that still work for you?
Yeah, it should.
Okay, great. All right, so David will give us a little information about and just an overview of the process so you know what to expect.
Yeah, so Laura, in the joint process, there's going to be it's a structured process really, and at first you'll have a conversation only with the mediators, where you'll be able to talk about your perspective of the situation and your narrative, and tell us what hopefully what you're feeling and some of the challenges that you're dealing with personally, but you only speak to us, and that way we can really help facilitate the communication, and it's really going to going to be one of our major roles, is to help facilitate the communication. The second part is you'll have an opportunity to have a conversation with the other party, and you'll, hopefully be able to, in a respectful way, be able to truly listen to each other and give you that opportunity to, speak your piece to the other person in a facilitated way. Again, we're going to, help make sure that you're speaking respectfully and really listening actively. The third part of it will be, where you come to an understanding if you want to pursue solutions, if you feel ready to, and if you basically come to an agreement that you're at that point. Sometimes, people will rush to solutions before we, really figure out what's happening.
Okay.
And then the last part of it is to really communicate to each other an agreement that you both can stick to, and that comes from you. The mediators really don't play much of a role, and that's what makes this community mediation. Does that make sense?
I think so. It sounds like this could take a really long time. I mean, just as you describe the process, it makes me think that this could take a really long time. How long does that take to talk about all that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the situation.
Okay.
And I think, I know we schedule 2 to 3 hours for one session. So
Okay.
depending upon, where we are,
Yeah.
sometimes we're able to get through it. Sometimes we have to even come back for another session. So
Okay.
it really depends on the situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other questions?
I guess I'm just a little bit worried that if we go through all of this and then Ariana just doesn't follow through with what she says she's going to follow through with. I feel like I've had that experience with her already, and I feel my confidence is a little bit low that she'll do what she says she's going to do. Is there something to help with that, where if she just doesn't do what she says she's going to do?
Well, I mean, we do ask, we will ask you that if we get to a point where there is a resolution or solution, we ask and try to come up with ways to, well, hey, if this doesn't get followed, what's the next step? Do you come back to mediation?
I see.
Do you, what other contingencies are there? And that's something we can talk about.
Okay.
And you can decide if you want something in writing. Sometimes people make a verbal agreement about next steps or a resolution. You can also choose to put something in writing, which sometimes helps, just as a piece of paper that shows who agreed to do what.
Okay.
And you can choose to have that be legally enforceable or not.
Okay.
So there's a lot of flexibility depending on what you need.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not so far, but
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Good.
Okay.
I appreciate it, and that's the important part of this, is that you're able to ask us questions
Okay.
for your own information. The next thing I'd like to talk about is our ground rules, and I think it's pretty important for not only the pre-mediation, but also the joint session, where, number one, you understand that it's confidential, okay? That we're going to rip up notes. We're not going to be talking outside of this session.
Okay.
We're going to, and it's important because, Davis is a small community, and so, people generally know each other, and I think that just maintaining confidentiality is something that is a value we really uphold and try our best to. So, also, especially when we get to the joint mediation, we want to be respectful. And what does respect look like? Well, we're not shouting or name calling, even the nonverbals to be aware of, the eye rolls or the sarcasm can be disrespectful. And we'll just gentle reminders that, hey, let's try to keep this respectful so it feels safe for each person to share their truth, And so that's another important ground rule that we'll really try to uphold, and that's definitely something we'll be consistent about, or try to be. Okay. And then, that we're constructive, that we commit to working cooperatively and try to explore resolutions for both folks, right? And that's where that's why we're here in part. And that we will follow the process and respect mediators. And this process is what brings us here. It's, I think, a very, very tried and true process that's practiced really throughout the state and country. So it's something we're really going to try to follow. So those are the ground rules that, and if you have any other, anything that you would like to bring forth that helps you kind of through your process, another ground rule, please think about that, if you would, for the joint process.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you feel about what
I
just
think
laid
that
out?
I think that all sounds good, as long as, you know, that we can do it, that we can stay respectful, and yeah, I just think as long as we can actually follow those rules, that sounds good.
Okay.
That's a good segue into the next piece about explaining our role. One of our roles is to remind us if there's a violation somehow of the ground rules. Or
Okay.
we forget about them. Or we say something in the heat of the moment that might offend someone, that we remind ourselves about staying with the guidelines or the ground rules that we've agreed to. So that's part of our job, is facilitating the process.
So you would tell us?
So we would tell you if we notice
Okay.
it. If you feel something has been said,
Okay.
we're asking for your help as well to remind us, like, oh, wait a minute, that didn't feel good, and then
I
we can
see.
pause and make sure that we're adhering to the ground rules.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do our best to
Yeah.
keep an eye on that.
Okay.
She's
She's very aggressive, so I
Okay.
feel like that might be necessary. I mean, that's part of the challenge that I've had, is that she just, to me, she feels very aggressive at times, and I guess I'm a little bit worried about how that's gonna go when we're trying to talk to each other.
So you're a little bit worried that that's going to come out in the mediation, and what if anything might we do to support you?
I mean, I guess maybe asking her to let me talk. I feel like that's been, and maybe it's me, that I tend to kind of shy away when somebody gets loud. And so, I don't know, maybe if that's happening, that we can, I know we don't want to control her, but just, you know, to ask her to let me talk.
Sure, and that's really helpful to know that you tend to do this, and so we want to make sure and watch that so we can make sure and create space and keep the space as safe as possible for everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
And she's not bad. I think we clearly have different personalities, and there's been many moments where I just don't know what to do with that.
Okay.
And then it gets worse, and then I really don't know what to do with it.
Sure.
Escalates, and then
Yeah.
it feels like we can't
Worse.
address it now
Yeah.
because it's worse, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place. This gives you an opportunity in kind of a structured process and space to be able to say what you need, and also to listen. Sometimes we hear things that, because we're emotionally involved in it, we may not have heard before. So
That's fair, yeah.
we'll slow the process down if we need to, for everyone to be able to hear each other. Okay.
Yeah, and just to chime in, you say that sometimes you feel like you kind of shut down when someone is a bit more assertive or aggressive. And one of the things that part of our role too, is to make sure that you feel heard, that you have almost equal time, not that we're timing it, but that it at least feels like it's pretty, equal. And that's something that we'll be aware of.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Just a couple of other points about our role, just to emphasize that we're not making decisions for you. So we're here kind of as guardians of the process, as we call ourselves, right?
Okay.
We bring in the process and the structure and the facilitation to create that space for you to have the conversation.
Okay.
But we don't bring in the content in. That's your responsibility, right?
okay.
So you bring in the issues you want to talk about, how you want to discuss them, what you want to talk about and not talk about. That's your decision, right?
Okay.
So we provide the process for you to be able to do that, but we don't make decisions for you.
Wow.
So Yeah, so you'll have to think about, what do I need,
Yeah.
and what's important to me? What do I really want to bring and talk about? So that's kind of that would be some of your homework.
I thought you were going to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Okay.
So it's a
That's
little
good
more
to know.
work on your part,
That's good
right?
to know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we don't have a stake in the outcome. We don't know either of you personally or professionally. So, it's really not up to us to decide. We don't have to live with the outcome, you do.
Yeah.
So that's really important, that you make the decision on what you want the outcomes to be. And you both need to agree on, if you come to some understanding or agreement, you would both need to agree to it. In other words, you're not going to have power to decide what she wants to do or not, and she won't have power to decide what you want. It has to be kind of that mutual understanding.
Okay.
That makes sense?
It does, yeah,
Okay.
and that's great. If we could have that kind of conversation, I feel like that would be so much easier than what I've been trying to do or not trying to do.
So that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
So you will see us take notes. Okay. As David already said, those are shredded at the end of the process.
Okay.
So that's just for our tracking.
I see.
You'll see us asking questions to clarify. You might see us redirecting the meeting if we feel it's getting off track, and bring it back. Or if we need to create some balance, if she has been talking for what seems like a long time, and it probably will seem like a long time, we'll switch to you, and then we'll go back and forth. So kind of keeping the flow of the meeting going.
Does she know how all this is going to work?
Well, we're meeting with each of you separately to have this same conversation.
Okay.
Right, so this is the pre-mediation, as we call it, the pre-mediation part, to give you a chance to ask questions and to explain what to expect.
And you'll do the same thing?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
We haven't met with her yet, but
Okay.
we'll have it scheduled.
Okay.
What else? Was there anything else that I left out about our role as mediators?
No, I think that was pretty clear. I know that I left something out as for a ground rule, and if I can just backtrack for a second.
Sure.
Thanks. When we talk about respect, one of the things that occurs not frequently, but is likely to occur is interruptions. Because sometimes someone's speaking about something and maybe you're not agreeing with what they're saying and you want to chime in, and it's really their time to tell their narrative, their story. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to remind you, or not remind you myself of, because I didn't really talk about it. So interruptions is something that we'll try to refrain from.
Okay.
We do ask in advance for your permission to interrupt. Like I said, if we need to redirect.
Sure. Okay.
Or, it's been a while, we need to hear from the other person. So that's what interruptions might look like from us.
I see.
But we'll let you know when we're doing that,
I
of
see.
course.
Thank you.
Laura, do you have any other questions about our role? Do you think I haven't mentioned that you're...
I don't think so. I appreciate you saying that you're not going to solve this for us, because that's what I thought, that you were just going to tell us what to do. So now that kind of makes me think a little bit differently about what I need to do and think about. So thank you for saying that, because that helps a lot. I misunderstood, I think, initially.
Right,
So,
of course. Thank you.
But otherwise, I think it all sounds good. In some ways, I'm looking forward to it, because obviously what I've been doing or not doing has not been helpful. So something's got to change, I think.
Okay, good. Yeah, it sounds like there's some worry, there's some fear about what might happen. There's a lot of tension.
Yes,
so
for sure.
This probably is a good next step to.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we've been doing a lot of talking, Laura. So we'd like to hear from you, give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your experience of the conflict and what's happened that brings you to mediation, and for us to begin to understand what are the main concerns and issues you want to bring to mediation.
So I think the easiest way to explain it is that Ariana and I just live very differently. Like I said, my days are busy, they're long, and when I come home, it just makes me feel better to come to a house that is in order and, to some degree is clean and organized, and that does not seem to matter to Ariana at all. She's messy, she leaves things everywhere, there's always like dirty dishes in the sink. And it seems like she just doesn't care about the way the house is. And, you know, that's just not comfortable for me. I feel like, I don't know why, but there's something about coming home to a house that is at least clean, maybe not organized, but at least clean, that helps me when, you know, when I'm tired or I'm having a long day, and that just does not seem to matter to Ariana at all. It's the opposite is what it seems like, and it drives me nuts. I get frustrated, and I'm not always good about telling her, because I feel like when I've tried, she gets upset. And then I don't know what to do with that. We've been roommates not for too long. I think it's been maybe 6 months or so, but literally from day one. And I thought, oh no. And how do you know before you live with someone how they are like that? And
So you didn't know Ariana before you moved in together?
not really,
You just-
no.
okay.
We knew of each other,
Okay.
but we weren't friends or anything
There
like
was
that.
no relationship
No,
before?
not really, no,
Okay.
no. I could recognize her face,
Uh-huh.
but that's about it. I didn't know much about her, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're real busy, as you said, you know, with everything that's going on in your life.
Yes.
And that you really long for some order and be able to come to a home
Yeah,
that is somewhat clean, and that gives you ease.
Yeah.
You're needing that kind of ease in your life.
yeah, yeah. Because then I feel like I need to do something about it, right? Because it's gross, and, you know, I'm tired, and they're not my dishes. But
Right.
then I still feel like, oh, maybe I should just wash them and get it out of the way.
Mm.
But then after several weeks like that, I just thought, I don't want to keep cleaning up a mess that I didn't make.
Mhm.
Okay.
And again, maybe I haven't done a good job of telling her that, but like I said, when I feel like I've tried, either she just didn't listen or didn't care, or I don't know what's going on there. I really have no idea why. Maybe the couple times that I tried to say something, that she didn't make any changes, like nothing happened
Oh,
different.
okay.
And I thought, well, why am I
Yeah.
putting myself in this situation, trying to tell her if
Mhm.
nothing's gonna change? That's why I was saying earlier, like, how do we know that she's gonna do what she says she's gonna do? Because so
Okay.
far, I haven't felt that anything I say changes anything.
It's understandable to feel like, you know, you want things in order, and, you know, we can appreciate that if you feel like you're cleaning up after someone for weeks and weeks, that can feel frustrating, you know, that's, and you mentioned that the communication, you feel like it could be better. And what can you describe what the communication has been like when you've tried to talk to your roommate about this?
And maybe this is just the way I experienced the conversation, that it felt like she was just blowing it off, right? And I would say, oh, hey, you know, I noticed these dishes have been in the sink for a couple of days. Could you take care of them when you have time? And you know, she's busy too, and I understand that. But then she just would be like, sure, and then nothing would happen. Or, yeah, I'll get to it, and nothing would happen.
Okay.
And I just feel like I'm not your mom. I'm not gonna, you know, tell you how to live. But at the same time, like, I've asked you, and then there was also just, you know, things being left everywhere. Come home, I want to sit down. I have to move all of the junk off the chair because she dropped all her, I don't know, whatever she takes with her when she goes out, like her bag and her jacket and everything, and I have to move it just so I can sit down.
Okay, yeah.
Hang your stuff up, put it in your room, you know? It's just that feeling of just not caring about how maybe what she's doing could possibly be affecting another person. And then when I tried, and again, I recognize that maybe I'm not doing a good job here, that when I try to say, hey, I don't like this, it's just like, oh, whatever. You know, she doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how it feels. I don't know.
It sounds like you've got the more you were trying to deal with, the more frustrating it got.
Yeah.
When you have to put her stuff away because you need some order or just some space.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Some consideration.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
and when you've tried to bring it up, it sounds like you didn't feel heard,
Yeah.
or there was no consideration about your needs for the order, or not a spick and span kind of place, but
Yeah.
that she would put her own stuff away.
At the very least,
yeah.
right? At the
Yeah.
very least.
And you say she doesn't seem like she cares. How does she respond when you request her to clean her things up?
She always says something like, "Oh, I'll get to it," or "I'll do it later."
Oh.
And so I just kind of leave it at that because, I don't know, I'm not sure what else, like, what's later, you know? I didn't want to go there, but that seems to be the response, like, "Oh, I'll do it later, oh, I'll get to it." And then that, it doesn't go much further than that. And to be fair, I don't do much more than that to follow up. I guess I'm expecting, or maybe just hoping, that she would just do it and then it wouldn't be an issue, but that hasn't
It hasn't happened, okay.
No.
So you're needing some accountability from her about what she agrees to do. And
Yeah.
also some certainty, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Not just, oh yeah, I'll do it later, but
Right.
you'd like to know, okay, it's going to be
Yeah.
done within a reasonable
I
time.
feel like that's something my
Yeah.
10-year-old brother would say, like, "Oh, I'll get to it." Okay, yeah, you're 10,
Okay,
fair enough,
okay.
but
Yeah.
come on, we're both grown. I think we should have a sense of the environment we live in, and again, what I had said right at the beginning is that we just live differently. And maybe that means that we can't live together. I don't know. I'm not sure. And that worries me because, okay, now if I don't have this roommate, what do I do? And that worries me about what those next steps would look like. I have no idea. And to be fair, don't have time to think about that.
Yeah.
So that's an important consideration
Yeah.
is if this doesn't work out,
Then what?
there's some fear behind that.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult situation to be in, to feel like, okay, I don't want to be this person's, mother figure,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it'd be nice to, have your interests and needs met when it comes to cleanliness.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we heard some of this, but if you could point to one or two things that are kind of the hardest thing for you about this whole situation, what would that be? You mentioned the communication, you
Yeah.
mentioned the different lifestyles.
I think it's the different lifestyles. Like it just, I can't imagine living without cleaning up after myself. Like that just seems unimaginable to me. And maybe I have a narrow mind, but it's hard for me to think how somebody could feel comfortable with junk and dirty dishes and, that's hard for me.
Okay.
And then, yeah, like you said, the communication hasn't been great. And I do wonder is there something else I could say, or is there a different way that I should be saying it that, I don't know, would be heard different? I don't know. But those are probably the top two, just
Okay.
this kind of real concern about maybe the differences in the way we live are too big. And there is nothing that we could say to
Yeah.
change that. And then do I need to change? Do I need to be more open to living that way? Which does not, I don't
Doesn't
love
feel like
that.
that would be
No,
good, yeah.
no.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing you acknowledge that we have really different lifestyles,
Yeah.
and that there's a clash there, and whether you choose to adapt to each other or how,
Yeah,
and the communication challenges,
yeah.
where you feel it's hard for you to bring it up, and when you do, there's no accountability, there's no
Yeah.
results. So
Yeah,
that's-
nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Okay.
And it also sounds like you're dealing with the fear of, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to have to go through the process of finding someone else,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you kind of feel stuck in
Yeah.
that regard.
A little bit, yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned the communication. Are you writing notes? Are you texting? Are you having conversations about it?
I think it started with conversations, and then when that wasn't working, just started sending her text messages, which I know isn't always great, but again, I'm running out of ideas on what to do. And the in-person conversations, we only did that maybe 2 or 3 times that I go up to her and say, hey, but because nothing changed, I thought, why am I putting all this energy into this when nothing's coming out of it?
So then it got more frustrating or disappointing for
Yeah.
you, because it wasn't working.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you taken any other steps, any other kinds of, consulted with anybody else about this?
You know, the only thing I've done, and I don't think this is a sustainable option, is I'll go stay with a friend. I have another friend in the area, and I can stay at her house anytime, but that doesn't feel good, because now I can't even be in my own house, you know? And that has just, like, on those days where I just don't want to deal with it, that's been nice, like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this over here, but I can't, that to me doesn't feel like something I always want to do. It doesn't feel like the right, I don't know what the word is, like the right approach.
Kind of the right approach and the solution that you wanted.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you have a place where you can go and just kind of
Yeah.
be at ease for a
Yes,
little bit,
yeah,
knowing
it
that,
helps.
you know, you can come back to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does help.
So thinking about the mediation, you know, the joint mediation, what do you think could happen at a mediation session to make things better or to move in the right direction?
I've actually thought about this, that maybe she just doesn't realize how what she's doing makes me feel. And maybe I haven't expressed that very well, that, you know, coming home to the disorganization and the dirt, maybe it's just not clear how that feels to me. And very possibly, I don't know how to explain that, so maybe that, like, helping her see, and then maybe there's something in her life that I'm missing, that I don't see, and I'm open to that, but to a degree,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, some understanding.
Something, I don't know.
Her to understand.
Wash your darn dishes, you know.
That's an important realization, though, that you recognize that, you know, she's probably affected by this too, and is that, if how do you think this conflict has affected her?
Yeah, and I can only feel that way now because I'm not currently frustrated with her, but in the moments where I can actually think about it, yeah, I do wonder. I have no idea,
Sure.
but I do wonder that maybe there's a reason she lives less way. I don't know, maybe it's a good reason. I can't imagine what that is, but that's as far as I've gotten in thinking about that, because I really can't understand.
Sure.
And maybe that would help to know why she feels like this is okay to do, you know?
This would be an opportunity to have that kind of exchange, if you
Okay,
will.
yeah.
Because it sounds like for you, it's important that she realizes how her lifestyle's impacting you.
Yeah,
And then I'm hearing you say you'd like to understand why,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
To understand why does she live like this,
yes,
right? What's-
yeah, it could help.
It could help.
Maybe,
To
I
get
don't
some
know.
understanding, right, right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What else could happen? What would be some of your goals for going through the mediation process?
I mean, maybe like you said, if we were able to come to some kind of agreement, maybe even like how to share the responsibilities of keeping the house clean, if that's even important to her. I think that's a big question for me. Is it even important to you?
Okay.
And if it is in some way, then maybe we could have a little bit more, I don't know, like agreement around how often we're gonna do what. And then that way I feel like, okay, I know she's not gonna do her dishes every day, but at least I know she's gonna do them every other day. Something like that, so that, I don't know,
So
maybe
you know what to expect.
Maybe.
and yeah.
some predictability, which I know sounds maybe like it's too much, but that would just help in me knowing like, okay, that's not gonna be 10 days that those dishes are gonna be there. Maybe we've agreed that we won't leave dishes for more than a day. I don't know, something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, some parameters.
Maybe,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
I think that would help. And then just, if something isn't going right, how would she like to address it? You know, like what,
That's
is
important.
text message make sense or what? You know, because maybe I'm doing things that are making her mad, I don't know. Not that I'm aware of, but maybe that, you know, she just hasn't said anything. So how would she like to address times when maybe things don't feel right?
Right.
Yeah, I think those would be.
That's great, because you have, you know, those are the makings of a good agreement on lifestyle differences and communication, and very doable during a mediation process.
If any of it's possible, that again is my fear, that she's just gonna be like, I don't care, and this stuff doesn't bother me, and
Okay.
too bad for you, right? That
Well,
is-
she's agreed to have the conversation.
Okay.
So far, so
Okay.
again, we're gonna meet with her one-on-one.
Right.
And that's a major step, is
That is
to
a
come
major
in
step.
and to listen to each
Okay.
other and have that conversation.
All right. I'll go with you on that.
Yeah, we're asking you to have a little bit of trust in the process.
Sure. Another, I guess, important, it's important to consider if there's any other trigger points for you regarding, any values or any kind of, you mentioned that if she's, assertive or aggressive, that really shuts you down. Is there anything else to consider that might, be a challenge for this process?
Yeah, especially during the process. So what might she say or do that might, trigger a response in you, and how do you want to
The only
support
thing
her in that?
I can think of is that dismissive attitude, like, oh, you're overreacting, it's not that big of a deal. I think that's the
Okay.
only thing that really frustrates me, is that feeling dismissed, like, oh, you get over it, And
Right.
that, I think, is really the only thing I can think of that might cause a reaction.
Okay.
Maybe there's other things, but that I know, because she's done that, where she just kind of blows me off, and then I'm just like, forget you then, and
Sure.
that doesn't.
Makes you angry.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
How have you reacted to that in the past?
Oh,
Just
well,
forget you with, forget you
Yeah,
with?
usually I leave the room, which I know
Okay.
isn't always the best, but quite frankly, I don't know what
It's
else
an
to
option,
do.
yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
what else to do. So, and then it just kind of builds up, which also isn't good for me.
So you sit with that, and you're frustrated and hurt,
Yeah.
disappointed with
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
No, and then the dishes still aren't clean, right? It didn't achieve anything.
And so you're still frustrated with
Yes,
that.
it all
right,
kind
yeah.
of builds on each other. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Is there, and what about anything that you might say, things that you've noticed that you might say or do that might trigger a reaction in her?
It's hard to say this, but I think she thinks that I'm picky, like I'm nagging her.
Oh, okay.
And that doesn't feel nice, I can see that, but I feel like there may be some of that, oh, here you go again with you need this and that feels really nagging and picky. So,
Yeah, I can see how then that might make you more reluctant to address it next time, so.
Right.
Yeah, so we hope to talk about that. That's helpful.
okay.
Thank you. Well, so we've heard that you are willing so far to talk with us and to identify some goals for the mediation, some things you want to work on. You've also thought of some possible outcomes that you think might work, or at least move you in the right direction. How are you feeling now about the idea of having this face-to-face conversation with Ariana?
I think I'm hopeful, particularly if we can maintain all of the things that we said we would maintain, that I think I'm hopeful, and to be honest, a little bit curious
Okay.
about
That's great.
what is going on with you, and can these differences be overcome, I think is where my curiosity is at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it sounds like the prospect of having to move out and go through all that is not one that you're
Not
looking
ideal.
forward to, so
No.
you
Yeah.
invested in trying to work this out and
I
make it
am
work.
if
Okay.
she is,
Okay.
yeah. But if she's not, then I'm not gonna keep beating myself up over this,
Right.
I'm just not.
It just sounds like a lot of this is a communication, in part, at least a communication challenge. And I mean, that's why we're here, and you were volunteering to be here. And I think this is definitely something that the community mediation model is for, is to help facilitate some of these challenges you're having.
Good.
Or is there anything else that you haven't mentioned that you'd like us to know?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
we've looked at everything that
Any other
that I can
questions
think
or
of.
anything else coming up for you?
Not at the moment,
Okay.
but if something occurs to me 10
Feel free
minutes
to
after I
reach out.
leave.
Absolutely, feel free
Okay,
to
Sure.
that happens to me sometimes, like I'll realize it
Yes.
later, I'll be like, oh dang it, I should have asked.
Right.
I think that's common.
Okay. So I can reach out before
Absolutely. If you have questions
Okay.
or anything
Okay.
before the joint session.
to you guys or to the person in the
You can reach out
office?
directly to Rebecca.
Rebecca, okay.
Yeah. she will probably be able to answer it for you.
Okay.
So, and then we'll, of course, as we proceed to the joint session, then we'll have another opportunity to answer questions at the beginning of
Okay.
that. So it sounds like you're okay moving forward to
Yeah.
the joint session.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Great, so you'll be hearing from Rebecca about scheduling.
Okay,
And we really appreciate your time and
thank you.
Yeah.
your openness and honesty with us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And then your ability to even think about her perspective is really important and not super common. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's impressive. And that part of the reason we have these pre-mediation meetings is because we want to assess if it's an appropriate case for mediation.
Okay.
And the fact that you're here voluntarily and and it's something that really has a communication focus, it's definitely appropriate in my mind. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Great. Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Okay.